everybody, and welcome to the podcast Name to be Determined, because I'm not very imaginative, unfortunately. I am your host, Mark B., a.k.a. Mark B. Writing, and joining me today is Mr. Aaron Sirois.
Yes, with the S.
With the S. So this is going to be a little bit different of a podcast format from how we do the Die Hard Gamecast or how we do Robert Hubbs' podcast. Basically, we're just going to talk about a thing and just go forward from there. And today, our topic is going to be the various and sundry different things that we've seen, are interested in, are not interested in, about Persona 5. So, the first thing that I noticed is that in various discussions, the creators have mentioned that they had that the game as it is going to be coming out with the Japanese rating of Sero C, or 15 years of age and up. That's interesting, just because Persona 4 Golden and Tokyo Mirage Sessions both came out at a Sero rating of B, which is about 12 and up. And Persona 4 Golden was an M for mature game in the US, and Tokyo Mirage Sessions needed to be edited down to get to a point where it's T for teen. So I'm kind of curious as to exactly what it takes to get to a point where you get to their D ranking, which is 17 and up.
Could be gore. I don't know.
It might be, because neither one of the games is really gory. It's possible that they may have more of a problem with violence than we do, and we may have more of a problem with sex. I don't know. Though, I don't really know what God Eater is, but they had to tone down the violence in that to get a T for teen rating. Bandai Namco did. So, maybe they're just more permissive of stuff in general. Though I've heard that our more violent games like GTA or Mortal Kombat have to be censored or can't come out. So I'm just not sure where the drawing line is there.
I'm not sure. I didn't realize that Persona 4 Golden was M. I just had to double check because I almost didn't believe you.
Yeah, they say fuck a few times in that game, actually.
Okay, it only takes one of those, doesn't it?
Actually, I don't know how it works in the ESRB, but in movies, you can get away with one fuck in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, I think I heard that before. But I'm not sure if it works the same for games.
It almost certainly doesn't, which I feel like is kind of a problem with when and how the ESRB was established as much as anything else. Because again, like they didn't get established on any kind of real voluntary measure, and it's not really a group that works with game developers. It was more because Congress was flipping their shit over Night Trap and Mortal Kombat. So I would imagine that in a lot of cases they're probably under the gun with this shit, which is weird but not at all surprising.
Do we know any other games that have gotten similar ratings over there that
I haven't really
could
looked
compare?
to an extensive amount, unfortunately. Like, the problem is that the Wikipedia pages don't really list what the Sero rating is, and in order to figure it out, you kind of have to go to the Japanese website for the page and see if they list it. I know that none of the previous Persona games had gotten Sero level C, and again, Tokyo Mirage Sessions didn't. I could probably check to see what God Eater got. That got Sero C. God Eater 2 Rage Burst is Sero rating C, which is 15 years of age and up. And that game, Bandai Namco was pretty much assured it was going to get an M for mature because of the violence. So I just think that maybe Japan is okay with some of the stuff that we do, but not all of it. Which is weird.
I think they also do different kinds of violence. They also seem to do less with guns in terms of violence. So maybe something like that could determine it.
That's possible.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you're shooting as long as there's no tits, but...
Well, there's tits in God Eater.
Oh, there you go. So it's got everything.
Yeah. But, alright, so back to Persona 5 here. I noticed I couldn't get through the hour or so long recorded live stream type thing that they had. Because it was all in Japanese, except for the parts when they were at E3, and a lot of it was just utterly impenetrable data-wise. But I went through a bunch of the videos and a bunch of the write-ups that were put together after it, and there's just so much data to unpack from this game. Like, one of the things you pointed out to me was the structurally laid out dungeons, where instead of being just random dungeons that are cobbled together or that are set as a specific thing, but shift around between levels, it looks like the dungeons are actual legitimate dungeons with legitimate structures and legitimate puzzles and things like that.
And that's definitely a departure from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's definitely different from Persona 3 and 4. Tokyo Mirage Sessions is kind of doing a lot of that, so I'm not sure if they decided they wanted to do that and then like did it with Tokyo Mirage Sessions, or if Tokyo Mirage Sessions inspired them to do it for Persona 5.
If it's stuff like what I saw you playing for Tokyo Mirage, I mean, that kind of thing makes perfect sense in a game like that.
I think so. There seems like there's like kind of odd jumping puzzles. I'm not sure if it's going to be just like, an active time thing where you push a button and the character does it, or if there's timing associated with it. And like some of the puzzles that, like, they haven't shown a lot, obviously, but some of the puzzles that they've shown look interesting enough. But I'm at a point in Tokyo Mirage Sessions where you have to avoid cameras that will teleport you back to the entrance of the dungeon. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need that in Persona 5.
Well, it definitely looked like it had some sort of stealth element, because they're supposed to be, like, cat burglars, aren't they?
Yeah, they're supposed to be like thieves or something. And like there's a lot of stuff that's themed around that concept. Have you seen like not just the costumes but like the personas they're using?
Oh, I haven't seen.
The main character, who's renameable, obviously, the first persona that he summons is named Arsene.
Is that a reference to something?
Lupin.
Oh, I've heard of that. I have never actually seen it.
Arsene Lupin is a fairly famous fictional French thief. So, like, there's definitely that tie-in where his original persona is also named that way. There's a lot of odd personas that they're utilizing in there, too. Like, for example, the character Morgana, the cat character, is using Zorro as a persona. Yeah, I don't get that. Ryuji Sakamoto, who's the blonde guy, uses Captain Kidd as a persona.
I'm looking at that. There's a little pirate on the ship with the smile face on it, right?
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
It does. It really does. I don't like the engine that they're using, because I'm not a fan of the Catherine engine. I've never been a fan of Catherine's aesthetics. But I feel like this game might change my mind, because I don't like Catherine's aesthetics because I don't like Catherine.
Was it just the puzzles?
The puzzles were a big part of it. I also kind of felt like I didn't really care for the plot, not because I didn't like Vincent and not because I didn't understand his situation, but because I didn't really feel like either one of the two young ladies that he was working towards being with were particularly great people, but also having the, man, I don't want to date either one of these girls, so I'm just not going to date either of them, and I'm going to go to space as an ending was really fucking weird, too.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, there's so many different weird endings in that game. Like, if you date, like, Catherine with a C, no, Catherine with a K is the down-to-earth one, I guess. Yeah. And you eventually work that out. Like, the two of you get married in the bar, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that we saw when I live-streamed it. And that ending is fine, but I just don't care for that character. If you end up with Catherine with a C, the succubus, the best ending has you literally ending up in being in charge of hell with her and, like, bossing around Satan, her dad. Or
yeah, I saw that
one.
It's
supposed to be, which is goofy.
Yeah, that was interesting.
If you don't go with either of them, the best ending you can get is he places a bet on a women's wrestling match, wins, and then uses the money that he gets to go on a trip to space.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing he always wanted to do, and that's, like, the moral of that story, and I'm just like, alright. I don't really feel like the best possible options that I should have here are Ice Queen, Succubus, Space. But yeah, also the puzzle mechanics were not particularly great. And while I'm not as violently angry about the final boss's motivation for doing what he chose to do as Alex is, yeah, like, forcing the world to breed when it's fairly obvious that that's not really, like, a plan that's working for us anymore, kind of a dumb motivation.
Well, that's what I loved about it, because they were kind of like, dude, that's not needed anymore. He's kind of like, oh, well, crap, my life has no meaning now.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was freaking amazing.
There's like 7 billion people on the planet, right? We're running out of resources. Oh, well, shit.
That was freaking great.
He's like, you're going to fix my relationship now. Nuh-uh. All right, I'm gonna beat your ass, then you're gonna fix my relationship. Okay.
Oh shit! The other one's supposed to be Carmen.
Yeah, which I thought there's a lot of them that are like just a lot of the different structures that they have there. Like they all have character like personas that are interesting thematically. Like Ann Takamaki is the name of the blonde pigtailed girl. Um, I don't know exactly what her personality is supposed to be, but I'm betting she's a tsundere. Because
Probably.
if Fruit of Grisaya has taught me anything, blonde twin-tailed girls are tsundere. Because that's just how Japan works, I guess. The only other thing I can definitively get from like the animations that we've seen and what we've seen of the character is that she is the most distinctly sexual character out of the cast that I've seen so far. She's also like the first character in a Persona game that's visually rocking larger than a B cup by all indications, which, you know, hooray, I guess. That's a thing.
Who's that? We're talking about the twin tail girl.
Yeah, Ann Takamaki is her name.
Doesn't look that large chested.
No, but she's bigger than anybody in Persona 3 or 4.
If you're looking at different art than I am, I mean, it's just might be the way she's standing. She's kind of like in a weird sort of hunched over, unrealistic comic book position.
Yeah, the Spider-Man pose.
So, yeah. So I that and what her costume is definitely low cut and maximized.
Yeah, it's not really a thing that Persona has necessarily done before. I'm not opposed to it. I don't particularly care one way or the other. I feel like it's fine.
But even then, she doesn't have anything on like Kanamine.
No, but Kanamine's a side character. I don't really count her.
Fair enough.
Like if she had been in like the main game, or I would go so far as to say like Persona Q, I would have said yeah, sure. But like Dancing All Night, I'm pretty sure Atlas doesn't even give a shit about that narratively at this point. They're like, oh, did we release that? Fuck, all right.
I don't think Q needed any more characters. I think they were good.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of done with that part of the franchise, which is fine. I really, unless you're going to do a full-on Persona 4-2, I don't need to ever go back to that universe ever again.
Or why not Persona Q2, where they do characters from 4 and 5 and just never bring up 3 again?
Because 3 is actually reasonably popular. But anyway, so I also noticed that, like, from what they were saying, it looks like the part-time jobs that they have in the game for making random money are going to actually have, like, full-on mini-games involved in them. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that.
Oh, well, depends on what they do. Like, if you played Bully, the minigames in that were perfectly fine.
That's true. That is true. I did like that. Though, I feel like in Bully, it was also for, like, statistical type stuff. And I feel like this game is going to have it predominantly for money-making, which may also increase statistics. But then they're also saying there's going to be other random mini-games, like they showed the Yakuza-style batting cage, as an example. And I'm wondering how far that goes. I'm also wondering, since they don't technically have social links, but they kind of have social links, how that's all going to play in together. Like, one of the things I didn't really like about Persona 4 Golden, and I liked the option, but I didn't like the limitations on it, was in Persona 4 Golden, if you want to get all of the social links, even if you're playing with all of your character's personal stats maxed and you know all the correct answers to give, you don't really have a lot of time to spare.
It's like a couple days.
Yeah. So if you want to do any of the extra cool shit, like going to the movies with people, or taking in secondary scenes to pick up books, or going on a bike ride out to the hot spring to learn new moves, then you have to forsake a fucking social link.
That's why I don't think they really intend for you to try to fill out every social link in one go. When I went through the first time, I didn't even. I tried to fill out specific ones, and I had like a checklist, and that was pretty much it. I just played. And then the second time is when I actually buckled down and just followed a guide to make sure I hit every note I need to hit.
Yeah, it's just, I find it oddly problematic for me, though, that you get into this position where from a narrative perspective, the social links make sense, but once you've done them, you never need to do them again. So, technically, you would probably have to play through the game like 3 times in order to see everything the game has to offer. Like, if you wanted to do all the extra non-social link-oriented stuff, because you're still going to do your partner's social links, because it evolves their personas, and come the fuck on.
They're also, like, they tend to be the best ones anyway.
Right. It's like, what the hell kind of an asshole are you going to be that you're going to skip over, like, doing, like, Naoto or Kanji's fucking social links?
I didn't finish Naruto's the first time. I don't think my stats were high enough.
Yeah, that was kind of an odd one for me. The very first time I played it, I think I managed to finish it with, like, 2 days to spare.
Hmm.
But yeah, if I'm talking about, like, going through New Game Plus, and it's like, no, you're just going to finish it. You're going to be like, yeah, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
I also noted, as you had pointed out to me, that social links are kind of not the same anymore, or maybe don't even exist. They're doing something now called cooperation that looks like the social links, but apparently isn't the social links. And I can't 100% figure out what that's meant to be. Because they don't show it happening with any of the characters that are going to be in your party. They're only showing it happening with secondary characters.
It could be something where secondary characters work differently from your party members.
It's possible.
Like, it always kind of felt weird that the social link system was the same across the board, but almost everybody else, never could really do anything in battle with you. So, like, you get Yosuke or something up to a certain level, and eventually he learns that's, a bit where he runs in on a scooter.
Yeah,
But nobody else gets anything like that.
No, I think everybody can ultimately get the scooter thing. It's
Well,
like
yeah,
some kind of weird...
in your party, but like anybody outside of your party.
Right, that's true.
Something like that.
That's true.
So it always kind of felt weird and unbalanced in that way.
Yeah, a bunch of different people are having conversations about it. Like, over on the Persona 5 board on GameFAQs, they're asking, what do you think the difference is going to be? The Mega 10 Wiki has something in it and just indicates it's going to be similar to social links, but they don't know in what way it's going to be different. Apparently, the way that the one person on Reddit's discussing it is they're saying they described cooperation as something akin to an online feature or a strategy manager, but it doesn't really specify, but we still don't know. Like, they don't really know what the situation is. And people are, like, kind of pissing and moaning because we don't really know what it does, and they don't want social links to go away.
Well, they've been kind of keeping it tight-lidded. Like, this was the first real unveiling of any information at all, really.
The Mega 10 Wiki is linking to an article that doesn't say anything about it, but they're claiming that cooperation will be similar to social links, and it will involve the protagonist building relationships with helpers around the city for benefits in battle. Which is fine, I guess, but I kind of find that to be conceptually dumb, just because I liked the idea of having the social links directly be a part of your party. So going back to, oh look, you have to be friendly with a bunch of people you don't give a shit about, is just going to be like, okay, yeah, I immediately don't care about that. Like, I'm hoping that's not what it's going to be, and that there's going to be some aspects of it involved within your party in some form or fashion, but the way that it's being trumped up is kind of that it's just going to work with people around town.
Well, yeah, like I said, they could have something for themselves, and then your party has their own thing, is what I would hope it would be. I mean, I would imagine the game's going to encourage you to talk to your party members anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Because, I mean, they're going to ultimately put the dating mechanics back in, I'm sure. Because those were very popular in both Persona 3 and Persona 4. I would hope that it would be part of the same system, because if it's part of different systems, I'm going to weigh the benefits of interacting with random strangers over anything else. And if they've got like 10, 15, 20 random strangers to interact with to get benefits out of, like, I'm not going to fucking waste my time on that, It's the mechanic needs to be something that's integral to the systems in a way that it makes the player say, yes, I want to do this. And if they're saying, well, it's going to be completely different from social links, kind of, but, like, they don't really have any data to go with beyond that, it's, like, that's concerning a little bit. In an ideal world, there will be more data that will come out as the game gets closer to completion. Like, I don't think they're not saying anything about it because they don't want to say anything about it. you get into that problem where if they announce a whole bunch of stuff now, when the game isn't done, people are going to freak out. They want to make sure that, oh, this feature is done, it's fixed, it's ready to go, so that when they start showing it off more in depth, they're confident that it's where it needs to be.
I mean, it looks like it could be done, and they're just in the polishing stage.
If you're it's possible. If they're aiming for a simultaneous worldwide release, they may be holding it back for translation purposes, which would be interesting.
It's also because they didn't seem to have anything in English to show off.
No, not at all. Not at this point.
They might be shooting for the Valentine's Day date just as a theme as well. It would be the first time.
That would be kind of grotesque, wouldn't it?
Hmm?
The whole game is about being a prisoner. That's kind of grotesque, isn't it?
Well, it wouldn't be the strangest thing.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I could see releasing Catherine on Valentine's Day. That'd be fucked up, but I'd get it. Like, if you're thematically equating being in a relationship to being in prison, somebody needs to get the Atlas people some fucking therapy, man.
Kind of what Catherine was, except prison became an actual hell where you could be killed by a giant baby.
Or a butt.
Yeah.
Daddy, don't leave me.
It was a very, very strange game.
Yes. Fuck.
I did like the gameplay to a degree.
I did too. It was kind of like a more involved Qbert, which was interesting.
Yeah. And I do like, in terms of the engine, I like the more dynamic camera angles that I'm seeing from this that they took from it. So, like them just sitting in like a cafe or even in the classroom, instead of like everything being like isometric or directly behind them, it seems to be more shifting.
True. I do think it's interesting that aesthetically the game visually has a lot in common with Catherine, but like for Tokyo Mirage Sessions, it feels like a completely different engine. And I'm not sure if the game just looks like Catherine so much as it is because it's utilizing a similar engine, which is what I suspect, or if it looks so much like Catherine because they purposefully went out of their way to make it look like Catherine, which they're not even in the same universe. Why would you do that?
I'm going to go with it's the engine because they probably just wanted to upgrade after 4. Because 4 and 3 use the same engine, do they not?
They do.
So,
and technically, this game was originally going to be on the PlayStation 3, so it would make sense to use that same engine since it was going to be on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Though now I'm wondering, why in the fuck did you go out of your way to make a whole new engine for Tokyo Mirage Session? Especially a shittier one where their hair just looks like the light on it is pasted on.
Probably something to do with the fact that it was on the Wii.
It's on the Wii U, though, and, like, the PlayStation 3 isn't notably more or less powerful than the Wii U. The Wii U is kind of at that same range. If the PlayStation 3 can do dynamic lighting and the Wii U can't, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know how many games they might have made for the Wii U. I don't think they've made many, if any at all. It doesn't look like that game is taking advantage of the system at all.
No, it really doesn't.
It looks like a slightly above a PS2 game.
No, I would say it's definitely mid-tier PlayStation 3. There's definitely some flares that I know like it wouldn't be able to be a PS2 game. I would definitely say that I feel like Persona 5 from what we've seen of it definitely looks like it's a top-tier PS3 or Xbox One title. I don't think we're seeing the PS4 visuals yet, so I'm going to be curious to see what they look like. But if we are seeing the PS4 visuals, that's not great.
But, it's kind of to be expected. I mean, The Last Guardian looks almost junky now, so I wouldn't be surprised if something that got pushed onto a higher system didn't quite live up to what it could be.
No, I don't expect it to be a top-tier PS4 title. Like, that would be an unreasonable and unfair expectation. But I do want it to at least look as good as, like, God Eater in the transition, because God Eater 2 on the PS4 versus the Vita looks quite good. And, like, if we're seeing the PS4 visuals in all the teaser and trailers and whatnot, like, I feel like they could do a little more to clean that up. I feel like those are the PS3 visuals.
I'd be kind of worried if they were the PS3 visuals, though.
Why?
Because why would they show those over the PS4 unless there was something wrong with the PS4 version?
That is true.
That would be more worrying than the way the game looks now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of I kind of would like them to come out and say, hey, it's worth running it on this console, just so you know.
They might have said it in the thing. Yeah, no one posted subtitles.
No, I would imagine that if Atlas US was going to do it, they would have done it by now. So I'm imagining the next thing that we're going to get out of Atlas US is just going to be the trailers that currently exist translated. Because right now I think they're mostly focusing their translation efforts either on the game itself or on the upcoming King of Fighters release for trailers and whatnot. Apparently they're also talking about potentially having the Japanese dialogue as DLC.
As paid DLC.
I mean, I wouldn't care if it's paid or free. If you want the Japanese dialogue, you're going to pay money for it. I just think it's interesting that we're having this conversation at all.
Well, it comes up a lot with Japanese games that get brought over. People seem to prefer the Japanese stuff over the dubs, mostly because we're used to anime, where the dub is always shit.
Yeah, that was like 5-10 years ago, though. Nowadays, a lot of the dubs you're going to get are usually pretty solid.
Yeah, for newer stuff. But if someone's still, like, say, watching Naruto or One Piece or stuff like that, they're still using the same actors for consistency, and they still suck.
Yeah. Like, I haven't heard of Tenchi Muyo in forever, but as far as I was aware, as of, like, 5 or 6 years ago, they were still using Kermit to do Tenchi's voice.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, he fucking sucks.
If the Gimme Tensei wiki is correct, which I'm not sure if it is, but I'm double checking Wikipedia, but it sounds like Japan's actually getting Persona in September. Doesn't sound right. Are they? Yeah, they are.
Huh.
September 15th.
Oh, wow. Okay,
So
there is going to be a delay on it.
Yeah. So we'll have some more information then.
Yeah, I am not importing that.
Oh, yeah, but somebody will. Somebody will have something up on YouTube so you can just look at it.
And that's fine. I have no problems whatsoever with that, but I'm just saying, like, I imported Persona 4 Dancing All Night. I am not importing this. It's bad enough I already put down a fucking pre-order for the special edition with the stupid backpack I'm never going to use.
Oh, don't even. I haven't used a damn thing in Dancing All Night Special Edition. That case was a little too...
Yeah.
It felt weird. Yeah, it didn't feel like it would protect it at all. And then the Teddy Medallion is a Teddy Medallion. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's immediately a non-usable item right there. I use I like the little plastic celluloid pictures that came with the Japanese version. Those were neat.
Oh yeah. Those look really cool. They didn't come with the version. That would have been awesome if they did.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't include those. Like, that's a really neat inclusion, and I have no idea why that wasn't a part of it. The wall scroll I can totally understand, because I didn't even hang that up here, and I have a fucking wall scroll hanging up of Amazing Nurse Nanako, which is an anime that I have never fucking seen, and only bought because it had, like, a chick with her boobs out on it. That is in no way a joke. I am not proud of that.
Wait, what?
I don't even know, dude. It's a fucking anime from, like, 12 years ago. I was, like,
okay,
buying
not that
wall
Nanako then. Yeah,
No. Ew. No.
Well, now you understand my reaction.
Yeah. You know, I don't know why I thought I could keep these two-person podcasts on topic better than Sean was able to do it with the three-person podcasts. I am clearly not very bright. Anyway, so I just find it interesting that we're even having the conversation at all about the idea of potentially allowing people to have the Japanese dialogue, because as you said, dubbing hasn't always been the greatest, and a lot of companies are still using the same old dubcast they've been using, even if they're terrible. But in particular, the Persona games have always had really good dubs.
Yeah. And we don't have any of the Japanese dialogue for any of those at all, do we?
No, they actually even redubbed the first two Persona, like all of the first two Persona games when they brought them over.
No, like yeah, and even Persona 4 Dancing doesn't even have the Japanese track, does it?
No, not at all.
That's kind of weird. Like that's a thing that people want over here, just in general.
I feel like there's actually a lot less demand for that than it seems. A lot of your more casual viewers, like people who don't talk on the internet about this kind of stuff, prefer dubbing because they don't want to have to read along with it.
Yeah, but it's not the casual players that are the ones who are out there pre-ordering the game and paying $90 or whatever for the special editions.
Well, I mean, they're selling out, so
Eh.
I would imagine
I
there's
mean,
got to be some of those people involved.
do the games have subtitles?
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure they do, but I do not fucking remember.
I don't know. Even then, that would be such a small thing to add if you want to keep the Japanese audio in.
Yeah, you could easily superimpose that in some form or fashion.
I think it's. I think the weird thing is that they bothered to take it out, unless they just don't want to spend the time to put in the option to switch between them.
It's also a space concern. Like, I don't know how big Persona 4 was on the PlayStation 1 on PlayStation 2 disc, excuse me. But Persona 4 Golden is one of the largest Vita games out there, period. That's like a 4 gig game. And I don't know exactly how large the cartridges are for Vita, but if I had to venture a guess, they're probably not that much beyond 4 gigs.
No, because that's like the size of the Uncharted one. That's like another huge one.
Right, so it's incorporating the audio on top of that, even with compression being how it is at this day and age, probably was more of a space concern than they wanted to deal with.
So maybe that's why they'd bother putting it in now, is because there's no way they're going to fill up a Blu-ray.
Well, if it's going to be DLC, they're not even going to bother putting it on the Blu-ray. They'll just put it up online and you can pay money for it.
Well, in that case, though, they could be monetizing. Like it'll probably be on the disc if it's paid DLC, and then you're paying to unlock it.
That is possible. That kind of tells an interesting story, where Sega said that they feel bad and they apologize to their fans because they learned a lot of lessons from Atlas. But I kind of feel like Atlas learned a lot of shitty fucking lessons from Arc System Works.
I mean, if Dancing All Night is any indication, DLC practices with Persona 5 could be messy.
Yeah, and I'm not super thrilled about that, because they also have a bunch of DLC for Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and it all came with the special edition, except for the Hot Springs DLC, which is not coming to the US, and I don't really care. But the point is that wasn't really a thing before they started pairing up with Arc System Works. Like, there wasn't DLC for Persona 4 Golden, and that was at a point in time where they could have feasibly done it.
And everything else since. Yeah.
Literally everything else since. Both the Persona 4 Arena games. Persona Q had fucking DLC.
Did it?
Yes, Personas that you could summon.
Oh, yeah.
The 3D, like, none of the 3DS games had DLC that I can think of. The one other thing I'm looking at is I'm interested in all of the aesthetics for the different characters from Persona 5. Because they look really weird in comparison to what we've seen in 3 and 4. Like, they don't really have that I'm a kid in school aesthetic to them, you know?
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe they could be in, like, a university or something, instead of being in, like, high school.
No, they're saying that they're in high school. Like, the main character's a second year. They've said that he's a second-year high school student, and a bunch of the characters are second and third years. I'm wondering if maybe Tokyo, because it's supposed to be based predominantly in Tokyo, if maybe Tokyo's high schools are less restrictive about that kind of stuff. Or maybe they have school uniforms and we just haven't seen them because it hasn't been relevant to the game. Like, maybe the main character always wears his school uniform around because he's a stylish motherfucker like the first two characters. Or, okay, Yu Narukami, because the other kid just looked like he belonged in My Chemical Romance.
Perhaps they felt the school uniform was just too stylistically restricted, and they just decided to gloss over it.
That's possible.
I doubt it, though, considering they didn't have to really do too much with that with, like, say, Persona 4.
Yeah, the characters all had fairly unique-looking school uniforms, but they were still school uniforms.
Of course, that was only the main cast. Everybody else was, like, in the exact same outfit.
Yeah, everybody just kind of dressed normally outside of the main cast, and there was never really any reason given for why that was, except because they're plot-important characters.
Could have just also been, like, a weird space restriction thing, I don't know. It's quite possible they had a lot more creative freedom with this than they're used to, simply because they had more space to work with.
It's possible. I'm also wondering if maybe they're just going with different aesthetics for the different characters because, like, they're just going to have them have, like, uniform school outfits, and then these outfits are going to be the important ones, and we're not going to see the school uniform so much. They have DLC already. Yeah, they already have fucking DLC announced for the goddamn game.
They were going to be in school, but it looked like it looked so much like Persona 4 in terms of, like, the daily schedule that I saw. Going to the school, hanging out at a cafe or something afterwards like that, and going to the dungeon, whatever. I do find it interesting that once again it is just one dungeon. It's not different spots around the map. like some place called the Palace, so it's gonna be like some.
I'm looking at their anniversary edition that they're releasing for Persona over in Japan, and I'm just immediately disappointed with the one that we're getting.
Oh, we are getting one.
Well, the special edition that we're getting has a 64-page hardcover art book, the school bag, a soundtrack, and the Morgana plush. Which is weird because, like, everything I've seen says that Morgana is a dude. That is not a dude's name.
Morgana?
Yes.
That's like King Arthur's sister.
Morgan Le Fay, yeah. So I don't understand how that's a dude. It's very weird. But no, I'm looking at the anniversary edition that they're releasing in Japan. They get a copy of the game and the art book. They also get 3 different DLC packs, a special custom theme, the art box, and a 5-disc soundtrack.
Okay, yeah. So you're seeing what I was. I thought you were talking about they were re-releasing the original Persona as an anniversary or something.
No, that's their special edition.
Yeah, yeah. I see. Yeah, it's soundtracks for all of them.
And I mean, granted, by all indications, it's going to be $130, which is absurd. But it's not like Atlas didn't used to do that. Do you remember for Persona 4 when they released a special standalone extra content thing that had like a plush teddy in it and a bunch of other shit?
No, I wasn't really paying attention to that kind of thing when it came out.
Yeah, I saw that on Amazon one day and I was like, yes, I want this.
Like, I never played a Shin Megami Tensei game before until I was watching you guys play 4, and I think I got FES off of PSN sale.
FES is probably the best version of Persona 3 that you can get, pound for pound, if you've never played it before.
It's another one that they put out in the PS2. I don't remember what the heck difference was, but I actually have both.
FES has the answer included in it, and also has a bunch of extra costumes, missions that you can do with Elizabeth. There's a lot of extra stuff in there.
I didn't get too far in it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
I got further in Portable, mostly because Portable addressed most of my issues with 3, which was there was a lot of walking around with nothing to do. That's what it felt like anyway. Like I was just running around without much purpose. So it was easier for Portable, where you could just click to the spot you wanted to go to. I don't know.
Yeah, I also note here that there's going to be at least 3 DLC sets, and I'm kind of wondering if they're going to pack that in with the special edition, because if they don't, that's going to be kind of frustrating to me, because they're offering one that looks like 2 special summons for Orpheus and Izanagi, just fine, and then 2 sets of costumes for the Persona 3 cast and the Persona 4 cast, as well as the ability to set your battle music to the Persona 3 and Persona 4 battle music. And if they, like, release the game and give the special edition players, like, their content, and they don't include the DLC on it, that's going to be some shit right there.
I mean, those things are interesting, but I'm not sure that I would be too upset if I didn't get them. Maybe the summons probably would be the only thing I would really care about all that much.
I like having the costumes available. I feel like that's neat. And, again, it just comes down to the fact of I would prefer that the lesson that they learn from, working with Arc System Works is not nickel and dime the customer to death after they've already paid $60 to $90 for your 100-hour-long video game.
I mean, this special edition for the extra, $30? Seems to come with quite a bit.
It does. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just we did get the DLC, at least some of the DLC, in Persona 4 Dancing All Night. And we got all of the DLC that's available at this point in Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I would think that they would want to do the special edition Owner's a Solid, but maybe not. I don't know. It just... I don't know. It just feels frustrating for me, for these games specific, to have DLC in the first place, I guess.
Oh my fucking god.
Huh?
I was on the Amazon page for the Take Your Heart Premium Edition, or whatever, and the first question: will the Morgana plush turn human and be my waifu?
I would have responded with, Morgana's a dude.
Answer was only in your dreams. No, I'm pretty sure Morgana is not a dude's name.
Everything that I've seen up to this point says it's a he. If it's a she, I would prefer that because that's what I thought originally. But every piece of press I've seen calls Morgana a dude. I'm just going to wait until, we get, an actual fucking something from the actual people associated with the game. I've been seeing a lot of Morgana as a he, so whatever. For now, I'm just gonna say whatever. It's a she.
Well, it's a cat.
It's Teddy. Let's just be honest about that. Morgana is Teddy again.
Well, hopefully it is a female then, and that means we won't have to deal with quite the same level of idiocy. But then again, if it's a female cat, it looks just a little too much like somebody dressed up like Luna from Sailor Moon.
There also is a point in the cutscenes where Anne throws Morgana into the sun, so I'm going to assume that Morgana is just as much of a putz as Teddy is. Yeah, I do also like that they've mostly gotten the announcing of the characters out of the way. Like, we know who the majority of the characters are at this point. So they announced they announced the 4 main characters initially, which is the main character who is renamable as needed. Ryuji Sakamoto, who is the blonde putz that we've seen in all of the early trailers, is probably going to be this game's Yosuke. And Takamaki, who is, by all indications, I would venture, probably going to be this game's Chie, or possibly this game's Yukari, depending. The next one they announced was Yusuke Kitagawa, who, by all indications, is some kind of an art student. All I really got from him was that he's some kind of an honor student who, much like the protagonist, like, doesn't live at home. His persona is Gomon, which is kind of hilarious for me. Because I know that there's a historical context, or at least a narrative context to Gomon, but all I remember is the fat-headed fucking ninja from the SNES games. And I'm just imagining him summon that fat-headed piece of shit. Let's see if they have a look. Yeah. Gomon actually looks like... Oh my god. It looks like a samurai version of dude from fucking Danganronpa with the corn hair.
Oh god. Mondo.
I'm not sure if that's better. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's better or worse, to be quite honest.
Well, I don't know. I looked up the actual Gomon, and it kind of looks like maybe Samurai Jack is a chiseled version of him.
Yeah, but I still like the SNES version with his stupid fucking head.
Yeah.
I totally want to see somebody summon that at some point and just like, am I really supposed to take that serious? His alternate thief costume is also kind of interesting looking. I am not digging the puffy fucking sleeves and the skinny white boots, though. It's just a very weird conflict, and I'm not a fan of that. If I had to venture a guess, he's probably going to be like the Naoto of the group.
Is he the detective? Because there's a detective.
No, there's actually a detective, but Yusuke Kitagawa kind of seems like he's going to be like the cold, silent type, from what I can gather.
You're still talking about Ryuji, right?
No,
in terms
Yusuke
of the white
Kitagawa.
shoes.
Yusuke Kitagawa.
Ryuji's not the one whose shoes look ridiculous, because that was my first thought when I saw him.
Ryuji's mask looks ridiculous. The rest of the outfit just looks like he fell out of Rob Halford's dreams.
Yeah, Yusuke looks like Naoto.
Kind of a little, yeah.
Even got like the chicken legs.
Yeah. Then they have Makoto Nijima with 3 eyes, which is just odd to me, who is apparently a 3rd year of some type or another and is like super moral. So I'm guessing for all logistical intents and purposes, she's going to be our Mitsuru. And then she's a thief somehow, which is like, not 100% sure how that works, but okay. Also, her thief outfit has a really weird corset, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
From what I can tell, like, I guess they're not actually like jewel thieves. They're like stealing hearts or something like that, or virtue. It sounded really weird in the description I was reading.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're not conventional thieves, but it's still just kind of amusing to me that you have this heavily moral character when all of your characters are thieves. Yeah. Like, if it's going to be like a Robin Hood thing, that's interesting, but it's just like,
I'm guessing they're not thieves. What said the main character there chases down a stalker or something like that, and that's why he was arrested, because he beat the shit out of a stalker. So then they discover the palace, or whatever, the name of the new area, the TV world, if you will, and shit happens. So it sounds kind of like more like almost like a Kingdom Hearts type ideal, where like it's almost like the reverse
of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, where instead of unlocking people's hearts, they're fixing,
locking them away.
I don't know. I am failing with the words right now.
Oh, it seems like the whole aesthetic is freeing people from some kind of emotional prison.
Yeah.
which I'm not sure how the thief aesthetic applies to that. That'll be interesting to see how that comes together in terms of applying concept to structures.
Okay, they work together to explore the palace, which represents the distorted minds of adults. And the goal of the heroes is to steal hidden treasure from the world in order to help reform their target. So maybe it's closer to Nino Kune.
Also, there's some kind of weird demon in the background of, like, one of the key art pieces, and I swear to God, it looks like it fell out of a fucking Guilty Gear game. I don't know what to think about that. But it's also interesting that Makoto's persona is Joanna, which is supposed to be named for Pope Joan. And I'm not really sure what the thematic association is, except just because, like, the Pope is supposed to be a very moral person, and I guess it works personality-wise. But it's a motorcycle. And I'm just like, what? Why is the Pope a motorcycle?
What?
Yeah. And that's a confusing thing, right? Like, that's just a confusing question. Why is the Pope a motorcycle?
What the fuck?
Right?
It's a damn Pope-mobile.
Pretty much.
It's a literal Pope-mobile because her head is in there.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That later church possessions of the Vatican was a female.
I'm guessing just the tie is morality. Like, that's all I'm getting from it.
Oh god.
Then we have Futaba Sakura, who... Her thief outfit is badass, I gotta be honest. She looks like fucking Sam Fisher, and I am 100% okay with that. Not so much with, like, the neon green accents on her boots, but, like, the rest of it is pretty great.
Oh yeah, those are straight up Naomi.
Yeah, and... just...
Feel her glow.
What is her fucking finishing maneuver in this game? She smacks her butt into people. Christ.
Well, judging by her, her Fox picture there, yeah.
She calls that the rear view, Michael. Fuck.
She's even got the little black things that hold up the soles of her shoes.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know what the hell those things are called, but,
Spats.
athletes have them. Oh, dear. But she totally looks like Supersonico.
Normally?
Look at, like, the headphones, the long hair.
Well, she's a hacker.
That doesn't mean she has to have headphones.
I mean, maybe she's a gamer. I don't fucking know. She's also supposed to be a NEET, which is very weird.
Necronomicon. It's a fucking UFO.
Yeah, I like the name of the persona, and I like the reference. I don't know why it's a UFO. Why is the Pope a motorcycle? Why is Cthulhu a UFO? What the fuck? Oh, Japan.
Well, I mean, I suppose everything else had been taken. They'd already taken enough fictional characters, mythological characters, and made them ridiculous that this is all that they could go with.
I'm also kind of pissed that she's the fucking navigator on the team, because I'm just like, really? Are we going to do the fucking cat is the navigator for a while, and then, like, realizes that that he or she can't do it anymore, and then suddenly we get the new navigator, who's also kind of a weird social basket case? Because I am just going to fucking set that disc on fire if I have to play through that story a third fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... She's 7 characters in, announcement-wise. So I hope she shows up early, because if she doesn't, that's going to be some shit. Anyway, the next character they announced was Haru Okamura, who just... I don't know. Okay.
She has a very weird outfit.
Yeah, like, it's very color strange. Like, I don't mind the stockings. I don't mind the plaid skirt. I don't even mind the white undershirt. It kind of goes with the stockings. Why the pink jacket to go with all of that? It doesn't match with fucking anything. Why?
I don't know. It looks better on her thief costume there.
Yeah, she also seems like she's going to be this game's Yukiko, i.e., I have no value in human interactions, a.k.a. I've never talked to a boy before.
Yeah, lives an elegant life and is naive to what the actual world is like. But has good communication skills, so no, she can't be Yukiko.
Yukiko has perfectly fine communication skills when she's doing her...
A dude asks her out, and she's like, has no clue what's going on, and he's being fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, just because you're good at communicating doesn't mean you're not thick. Yukiko is very good at communicating and is very good in school. She is fucking thicker than a wall in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
I also think it's great because the chick's persona is named Milady, and it's supposed to be based off of Lady Winter, or Milady de Winter. But I just, from the Three Musketeers, who was actually like a fairly important character. But I just think it's funny because I just immediately imagine a neckbeard tipping his fucking trilby. Persona, Milady. But the last character they've announced is Goro Akechi, who is the detective. We don't know anything about him at this point, except that he's a detective, and his name is Goro Akechi. He's going to be a member of the team, but we don't know, like, what his persona is going to be. We don't know what his real personality is going to be. He technically acts as Naoto for plot purposes as the detective, but otherwise, nothing as far as that goes. His name is also kind of a reference to Kogoro Akechi, who's a fictional detective in Japan. But beyond that, like, we have no real data on him, and I'm going to be interested to see where that goes.
Yeah. I'm a little worried they're going to be hitting the tropes too much. I mean, the setting definitely looks significantly different enough to matter. But if it's the same character personalities in just a different setting, that's kind of going to suck.
Well, that was the one thing that I was really specifically objecting to about this game, and I have been for a while. I don't want them to reuse two of the same tropes that they've been using since Persona 3, which is strange non-human entity doesn't know anything about itself or why it exists and drives a lot of the plot forward with attempts to figure out its purpose and its reason for existing. And Shitty Navigator starts out in the beginning of the game, but is eventually replaced by Dedicated Navigator, whereupon Shitty Navigator becomes active party member and also casts ice spells for some fucking reason. That part was especially on the nose. Like, when it got to the point where I was casting ice spells with Teddy, I was like, come the fuck on! Are you kidding me? The only difference was the actual personalities of the characters associated, but, I mean, realistically speaking, it's not like they both weren't in their own way trying to sleep with the protagonist.
I'm not seeing anything that suggests that Morgana is a navigator.
It's also possible that they may just not have a navigator to start with, which is interesting. I don't know how they're going to introduce the need to have one if you don't have one to begin with.
It could be a navigator / party member at the beginning.
Yeah, but that would still be repeating that trope, which I really don't want to deal with if we can avoid it. I'd kind of like to see an instance where the navigator that you ultimately use kind of just starts helping you out from the beginning as a silent partner, and then eventually gets directly involved in it. That would be kind of neat. Because at least then it's different from what we've been seeing in the past two games up to this point. But yeah, I'm afraid at least in that one that they may go down that same road. In an ideal world, I would hope that Morgana is not questioning his or her place in the world and trying to figure out his or her meaning or whatever the shit, and it's just a cat that talks.
Yeah, but it literally says what in this section on the wiki, just like Teddy.
Well, it also says Morgana is going to play some kind of key role in the story, which I'm not thrilled about.
Well, it depends on what they mean by key role. I mean, technically Teddy had a key role, but at no point was he really the focus.
No, that's not the part I'm worried about. Is that both Aigis and Teddy had key roles in the story, and it was the same fucking key role in the story.
Yeah.
It's just I am afraid that they are going to do that same thing again, and they're going to think that it's okay because, well, it worked perfectly fine from Persona 3 to Persona 4.
The only thing I can say in their defense, if that happens, is that at least with their games, there's a time gap. I mean, Persona 4 came out, 2008? 7? Either way, it's been many years.
It has. It's been very close to a decade, and the last true Persona title that we have seen is Persona 4 Golden.
I think it doesn't help that they've done re-releases. They had those same characters in Persona Q, revisit the same damn themes.
But we haven't actually seen core titles in quite a while. Yeah. It's not the worst thing that they could do, admittedly, but it's still it's ground that you've tread twice already.
Yeah, the second it pops up, you'll know exactly how it's going to play out.
I'm also wondering with the potential renaming / removal / whatever of social links. Obviously, they're still going to have the ability to ultimately consummate some type of romantic relationship because that's clearly a popular part of the game. And last that I checked, Atlas was not interested in losing shitloads of money. So that seems like it's going to be a thing. I'm just wondering, are they just going to excise the ability to have romantic relationships with people outside of the party? Are they going to try and improve that aspect of things, or are they just going to do it the same way they did Persona 4, where you start going out with somebody and then you never ever fucking talk to them ever again?
Oh, that is just a symptom of modern games in general. Like almost any game where they give you like a choice, it doesn't affect anything like it should. Like nobody notices, probably because they don't want to spend the time to actually create all the different scenarios that would arise. But when you're playing Persona 4 and like say I chose to date Rise the first time through, and then you choose to take Rise on say Valentine's trip or something like that, and somebody might go, "Well, that's weird." I'm like, "No, it's not. We've been dating for months." Or like when you go on the ski trip and like Chie makes some random ass comment about Rise being a smooth operator or something like that, or too obvious. And at which point I'm like, again, we've been dating for months at this point. It doesn't make any sense that you would be making comments like that, and it just felt out of place.
I feel like there's a certain degree of I used to feel like there was a very specific degree of social expectations within the confines of how that worked. Like the characters just never talked about it because of certain like social cues. And then I saw fucking My Love Story, and I realized, no, this game is just weird because this guy is fucking telling everybody that he has a girlfriend and showing them pictures of her, and everybody fucking knows, and it's not even a big deal. And it's either you guys are the most repressive a-holes on the planet in these Persona games for some weird reason, or this is just a weird game and plot, like a story plot segregation. It's ludonarrative dissonance.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And you see it in so much stuff. Like you play Skyrim, you get married in that, it never comes up. Never comes up. You become a werewolf. Nobody ever brings it up to you, apart from the companion or whatever.
I feel like they integrated it very well in Mass Effect, but I feel like they specifically planned to integrate it very well in Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect was planned from the beginning to allow you to carry your saves to a certain degree from the beginning to all the way to the end, and they actually took the time to integrate different conversation pieces based on what you had done.
Yeah, you would think that especially with all the space they have on the Blu-ray, they could have it so that there could be those different like diverted conversations. But then again, I also wonder if they're going to do this kind of thing where you keep it on the DL so that you can continue to have relationship with multiple characters. Because on one hand, I still would like to see that more integrated, especially if you have an outside romance. But on the other, that Valentine's Day event was fucking fucked. And I would actually like to see them do that again.
That always felt weird. I hope though that they, like, if you have started a relationship with somebody, that it feels a bit more organic and less stupid. Like, you comfort Rise and
we're
yeah,
dating now.
exactly. That's
What?
like, really? Now we're dating because I did something human. I mean, granted, she wasn't used to having normal human contact, but
I'm just saying, like, that's what it is. It's like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Come here. You're with me forever.
It was really weird.
This is not how I pictured my first relationship going.
I don't know. I think that's probably actually why I liked her, because she was actually the only one who was upfront about anything. And I'm so tired of the oh no, I like you, but I can't tell you because that would be too embarrassing stereotype that is in every
it was a very different theme. Well, to be fair, with Naoto, she never really thought about being romantically involved in you or with you until you kind of forced the situation. Like she never brings it up. It's never a conversation that you have.
Totally.
You kind of tell her, "You're a girl," and she's like, "You're right. Let's fuck." What? Shit, was it that easy? All right.
I should just tell people that more often.
Yeah, like, you, the large-breasted woman, you're a girl. Take me. Yes. But yeah, like, and with Chie and Yukiko, it was kind of dumb. Like with Yukiko, I kind of got it because she was supposed to be socially awkward and had all these other things. she didn't realize, like, she legitimately liked you, but she did not realize, like, what being in a relationship was. Again, as you pointed out, dude asked her out bluntly in front of fucking everyone. She didn't realize that he was asking her out, and didn't realize Yosuke had tried to ask her out, especially when he fucking asked her out again. In her case, she's just thick. I get that. But I can also understand how that would be odd for people. For Chie, I think it's crippling self-esteem issues, but yeah, in Yukiko's case, it's, why do you like me so much? I don't understand. And with Chie, it's like, oh, well, you know, you don't really have to like me or anything. It's fine. And Risei's like, fuck me, I'm a donut hole. What?
Like I said, though, that straightforwardness, like, insanely refreshing.
I was totally fine with that, but it was also interesting because, like, you never actually get to the point where you're dating until you show her basic human kindness, which is fucking weird.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I think
like,
that,
all the
again, that's
time
more
she's
of
like,
her character in the fact that she's probably used to being looked at as an idol as a person.
yeah, it's just interesting to me because, like, in every single date you go on, like, there's a certain degree of actual human interaction, but it's also, senpai, I want the D. And then, like, you get to the end and you, like, give her a hug, and it's like, oh, you actually like me. That's weird. Okay. It's like, so are we gonna fuck now? Not right away. Oh, god damn it.
You have to wait till Christmas.
Yeah.
That always felt weird that they did rest that.
That they're fucking on Christmas, you mean?
Yeah. If it's gonna get glossed over.
Maybe that's why this game is Sero C.
It's got God of War style sex meeting.
I mean, to be fair, they're all
That's what the
underage.
batting cage is for. It's warm
They're
up.
also all they're also all underage, which is like, you can't really address that in a game. This isn't kids, you know.
Well, you can address it without making it graphic or weird. Or we probably can't do it without making it weird, but that's anyway neither here nor there. But you can do it without making it really messed up.
I'd also kind of like to see them do, like, certain things outside of the social link stuff and having the characters address I'm in a relationship now, or having the characters try to integrate their non-group friends into the group. I'd like them to have, like, set dates. Like, nobody ever celebrated a fucking birthday in that game. Like, the only person who celebrates a birthday is the Tower social link.
Yeah. Shoot.
And that birthday is whatever day you come over.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine that's, again, part of the, if you schedule things too specifically for random events like that, then that, again, takes away from your ability to build social links and go into, like, the dungeon.
I mean, to be fair, though, you can work around that easily enough. Just, they budgeted all these days for dumb shit nobody cared about.
Well, yeah, but they also didn't, like, know ahead of time, generally speaking, if those things would happen.
I mean, yeah, but you could have specifically set it up that way to happen on purpose. Like, you have to just assume within the confines of this game that anytime you've met anybody, their birthday has already passed somehow. Like, and like, your character's birthday just happens in, like, that 2-month period where we don't fucking see anything. And it's weird. It's weird. Why did we spend a week helping dumbass Yosuke out with the fucking mall because, like, his dad understaffed? We could have taken those 5 days and given them to other characters as birthdays.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I
that
think,
event in
like,
particular didn't really add anything
if it's
to the
popping
game.
up like every couple months or so, which it would have to, because you wouldn't want to group them too close together. It feels like it would just get
I mean, you don't have to have
too
one for
obnoxious.
every single character. You don't have to have one for every single character. With 9 characters, yeah, it would get annoying doing the same fucking event over and over again. But, like, having it for a couple of characters at least, like, the characters who join really late, whatever, fuck them. They already had their birthday, that's fine. But, like, you could integrate that a couple of times where, like, the characters get to know one another better, and it's like, oh, maybe you could even just do one big event where they're just like, oh, my birthday's this day, and oh, why don't we just have one big birthday for everybody, or whatever the shit.
Or, maybe not even an event. Maybe just, like, some minor thing where, like, you can give them a gift or something and then just have, like, a conversation between you, not necessarily like, a giant party every time.
Yeah, that's true.
Or even,
Fuck it. They get a bonus for comp experience gained or something on that day.
You could. I would not want to take my. I would not want to take somebody into the fucking TV world on their birthday. That just seems ignorant on my part as a leader.
No.
Happy birthday to you. Let's go kill some fucking monsters. What? This is the shittiest birthday ever.
Oh, like that was the thing they did for Dissidia. Like you would pick a day and then you would get bonuses. And I think on your birthday, if you played the game, like the bonuses you'd get would be insane. But like at that point, you're scheduling time on your birthday to play Dissidia.
Yeah, that kind of feels like when you played fucking Saw 2 on Christmas, it would give you an achievement called You Wasted Your Life.
I think I set my clock for that to do it just to see that one pop up.
But yeah, it's I would still like to just see more. Like I love the social link aspect of things. I would just like to see more integration on it, really. And I think at the end of the day, I do like what I'm seeing. I really do. I don't like the Catherine engine, but what they're showing is wowing me. It's winning me over. The character aesthetics are weird and different, and they're totally unique to this game. Like, it doesn't feel like the transition that the first two games were comparatively, where they were comparable. This feels like a totally new and different thing visually.
It's very inked up.
Yeah, and the characters look different, too. Like, none of the characters have that comparable style to previous characters in the series. Like, if you look at the costumes between Part 3 and Part 4, there's not really a lot of distinction. Like, you can see comparisons between, like, Yukiko's costume versus,
Yukari.
Yukari's costume, right, exactly. And, you know, you can see comparisons between the protagonists. And here, it's like the characters look distinct to themselves. They don't look like anything from the previous games.
I think part of that is just different models. Like, you know, they're not like little models. They look more like animated. They're taller. They look older.
They look more fleshed out too, because
they look more
the
like
characters
people and less like video game models.
Right, the characters in Persona 4, Persona 3 and 4 in particular, like, just were very blurry. Like, you had to have those pictures with them because they were very blurry models, because that's all the PS2 and the Vita could handle.
And it had like almost like a bobble type character.
Yeah, somewhat. I can definitely see that. And here it's they look like they're fully modeled, fully realized 3D people. But it's also that they look very unique from the other games. Like, the other characters just look like they were kind of slightly differentiated from their school outfits, and here it's all of the characters have a truly unique and different aesthetic to them. The only things that I'm concerned about, as we've said, is how are they going to handle the social links or, you know, cooperation just in general. And are we going to do these same two narrative things again?
I'm very interested to see how going to them works, like with stealthy bits. The fact that you actually have to do an action to start battle, like get the free hit on them. That looked really interesting. I'm very curious on that hold up again, where you
it seems like
negotiate with them.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a negotiation system similar to how the previous Persona games did it. But in Persona 1 and 2, you would just grab a monster that you fought, and you would force them into being fusion material to make a persona. And Persona 2, they would give you items that could be used with a canvas painter who would paint you the persona that you wanted. In this game, I'm thinking it's going to be you're actually fighting the personas that you would want to summon. And that's interesting, but it also kind of robs the personas of their uniqueness to a certain extent.
It turns them into a Pokemon.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that in Mega 10. I'm not okay with that in Persona, so that's going to be weird how that works. I'm also kind of disappointed that they're not doing the card shuffle stuff anymore, because those were neat mechanics in the other games that I felt was unique to Persona, and it just seems like maybe that's not going to be a thing here.
That was just it was just different how it versus 4 was.
Uh-huh. In Golden, it was the spinning cards, and you had to press the button at the right time. In 4, they just gave you the cards and let you pick whatever, but your objective was to clear the board if you could manage to do it.
So they might do something different in that regard.
It's possible. I don't really know where they're going with it. I'm definitely sure it's going to be different to some extent or another, but in what way? I'm interested to find out. I hope that I'm wrong, and it's going to be like maybe the personas show up occasionally, and maybe even only if you don't have them, perhaps. But if they're just standard canon fodder, I would hope that there's going to be some personas that will only be summonable, which makes sense because that was the way it was, even if you got them through cards. But by the same token, it's still going to be I don't want the personas necessarily to be Pokemon.
Just out of a series flavor thing. Though.
Yeah, I'm also not 100% thrilled aesthetically with the new helpers that they have, Justine and Carolyn. Like they maybe it's just the art style because I haven't seen a lot of them, but like I really felt like Elizabeth and Margaret had distinct, interesting looks to them, and Justine and Carolyn just look kind of
It
bland.
looked like what's his name? The butler guy, like little miniature version.
Theodore?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got
and Theodore
the
was kind
blue
of a
going.
putz.
Oh god, and I think he was the one I ended up with. Persona.
Ah,
That was obnoxious. I hated that
yeah,
system.
I got Yukiko. That
If you answer
was.
morality, or morally, you're always gonna end up with a dude.
Mm,
Does gender matter? No. Well, then you're getting a dude. I guess
well, no. To be fair, gender does matter.
for you
Being a
specifically,
trans
I thought it was asking in general.
Well, I mean, it does matter. Gender does matter in general. But you're not saying that gender identification doesn't matter. It's just saying, I want to date a girl.
Well, no, I took it as like I said, like an in general. Do does it basically do opposite.
Should we
Yes,
discriminate by gender?
thank you. My tongue was so tied there; it was ridiculous. But yeah, that's what I took it as. Is do we discriminate by gender? Like, people can love whoever the hell they want. That's how I was answering. But apparently, the game was deciding that meant I gay. And from there, I somehow ended up with Theodore.
If I'm going to be putting my Hogwarts in the wizard sleeve, then gender matters a little bit. I mostly feel like Persona 5 is going to be a great game. I think it's probably going to be better than Persona 3 for me personally, unless they fucking kill the main character off again, which, Jesus Christ, I hope they don't fucking do that in this game.
Well, three didn't really set a high bar as far as that concerned. If as long as you can control your party members, it's already better than two.
Mm.
So, like that was probably my biggest pet peeve. Is any RPG where you're just controlling yourself and your party members are doing their own thing and it's turn based and you just have to sit there and watch them do fuck up for you. That
Yeah, it's that was a big problem for me. I also wasn't a big fan of the narrative. I totally understand why the narrative was the way that it was. And I understand the themes that they were exploring. They just weren't themes I was interested in seeing realized in a narrative in that way. Like Persona 4 I felt was not to be that guy, but I kind of felt like Persona 4 had more of a friendship is magical kind of thing.
it is.
Whereas it did, but Persona 3 was much more friendship is necessary and we'll eventually fucking get there, just not right now.
From what I'm just by the aesthetic of what I've seen from five, it kind of looks like a mixture. It's not as gloomy as three, but it's not as bright as four. Does that make
It's
sense?
definitely got darker themes to it, yeah.
It's got like it still seems to understand the color.
Yeah, like Persona 4 I felt had darker undertones, but the worlds that you went into weren't necessarily dark. It was the darkness was the shadows, specifically the darkness inside of people.
Yeah.
And I think Persona 5 is kind of still dealing in those darkness in humans kind of thing, but it's doing it in a way where the actual themes of the dungeon and the world are dark. They've only shown us one or two dungeons though, so it's possible you're going to get some ridiculous looking dungeons like Kanji's bathhouse or Risei's fucking dance hall again.
Dance hall.
It's
That's a nice way to put it.
yeah. The one thing that I do appreciate though is I'm not going to have to hear any more fucking discussions about goddamn idol culture.
I just got tired of that from some point in.
I got tired of it between Persona 4, Persona 4 Dancing All Night.
Alright, Tokyo.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions is doing it now, and Omega Quintet did it.
Oh, do you actually own that?
I do.
Oh,
I
okay.
bought that for it was $10 on the Golden
Oh, it's
Week
like
sale.
7 now. On a sale.
But yeah, I think we've pretty much mined about everything we're going to get out of this topic. I have plenty of other Persona topics that we'll probably want to touch on, so if you want to come back, we can definitely cover some of that. But I feel like that wraps it up for this week, unless you have anything else you want to say.
If there's anything that I want out of it, it's idea. I want like the world that you can explore outside of it to be more just there.
You want there to be more to it.
Yeah, it felt like if you weren't in the middle of a social link, like it felt like you were being pulled out of the town at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want the town to actually be a town, not just a place where you go to shop.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. I feel like since it's in Tokyo, they're going to put a lot more emphasis on doing things in the town because Tokyo is a big deal. It's a huge city and there's lots to do in it.
I mean, if you could even partially explore that, I mean, like, I think of something like Nino, where the towns were actual towns, big 3D towns that you could run around and explore, and there were side quests galore that you could do, or you could just go to the main quest. It felt like a part of the game.
And we've already seen it's entirely feasible to represent large sections of Japan in a game. Akiba's Trip was the entire Akihabara district, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, but I would want something more substantial than that, at least in terms of character interaction. You know, they had all those people, but they were all, like, faceless. Nothing.
Yeah, again, that game was mostly, just developed for specific purposes. I don't know, like, with this game having been developed with the PS3 in mind and then been upgraded to the PS4, I don't know if that's going to be a thing we're definitely going to see out of this game.
Probably
but
not.
I'd like to see that there's going to be a step forward.
Yeah.
Because I suspect that now that they've gotten over the hump and we've gotten Persona 5 and we're getting to that point, I suspect we're probably going to see a Persona 6 sooner rather than later.
So it's not a 7 to 8 year gap.
I would imagine not. I'm also, the only thing I can really say that I definitely want to see from this game, that I expect that they should be able to do, like, in an ideal world, I would like to see the storyline of the Persona 3 protagonist, Minato Orisato, fucking resolved already. But I don't know if they're going to do that in Persona 5 specifically. But I would definitely like to see some fucking cameos from the Persona 3 and Persona 4 cast. They don't need to be members of the party or anything. But, at least have them show up and say or do something. And none of this, oh, well, 5 minutes with one of the third-tier social links and the fucking professor who was a dipshit. Like an actual fucking cameo from, like, somebody.
So we're going not third tier. Because I was like, it could be Shu, and then you'll hate yourself if that's the only cameo.
Yeah, no third-tier fucking cameos. I actually want to see somebody important show up. I don't even care if it's fucking Adachi. Shit. Just somebody. Damn.
Fucking Adachi. There's no way that man's ever getting out of jail.
Well, they don't have any proof he murdered all those people except his confession. OJ managed to avoid going to jail.
That's what we need.
We need OJ Simpson in this game?
No, we need an Ace Attorney crossover.
I really do not need Phoenix Wright getting Adachi off.
No. Why did you have to word it like that?
Because the internet already did it for me.
It's probably true.
Alright, and on that note, I'm going to call it a night here. Join us again next time when our topic will be 5 ways that you can ruin a fandom. Thank you all for coming. This is Mark B. and Mr. Aaron Sirois signing off.